Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and I want to talk to you today about some exciting research that has linked vitamin B12 deficiency to the actual shrinking of the brain. When the brain shrinks, we're at a much higher risk of Alzheimer's, cognitive issues, memory loss. In fact, people with normal B12 levels have actually 6 times less likely of a chance to get Alzheimer's or actually have a shrinking brain compared to those who are, in fact, deficient. Vitamin B12 is an extremely common deficiency. Tufts University has said that at least 40% of the American population are deficient in vitamin B12. And in fact, people who are vegetarians, who are on any type of medication, or are a little bit on the older side, where their digestion gets a little bit weaker, are at a significantly higher risk. Vitamin B12 is the energy vitamin. It boosts energy, boosts vitality. It's a precursor to serotonin and dopamine and cortisol. It's a mood stabilizing vitamin. In fact, in one study, it showed that people who are on antidepressants that they're not responding to actually showed that B12 actually gave them much better support than the antidepressants, and in fact helped the antidepressants work better. Now, what's interesting about vitamin B12 is it also is linked to higher levels of this toxin called homocysteine. Homocysteine may be the most reliable risk factor for cardiovascular disease. And when your homocysteine levels are high, you're at risk for arterial plaque, heart attack, stroke, a host of cardiovascular issues. So vitamin B12 becomes a vitamin for energy, for vitality, for mood, keeps your brain from shrinking. This is a vitamin that you do not want to become deficient in. Now, why is it so prevalent? Why are we so deficient in this vitamin? Well, it's hard to digest. In fact, that many of us don't have great digestive systems. It's a very hard vitamin to break down. It comes in proteins, and you need a really good stomach acid to break it down. If you don't have good stomach acid, you're not going to release the B12. The stomach acid also makes a protein in your stomach. It's called the intrinsic factor. And this intrinsic factor actually hooks on to the vitamin B12 and carries it all the way through the small intestine, where it then gets absorbed into the bloodstream. Now, it's interesting. Now, I've reported on this many times that 95% of the serotonin in our body is actually produced in the small intestine, in the intestinal tract wall. Now, we think that most of the serotonin is in our brain, but it's been shown now with very new cutting-edge research that this is actually taking place in our gut, that we literally process stress through our gut. So researchers are thinking now that what's happening is that the B12 is involved in many of these manufacturing processes on the way through the intestinal tract, where it's actually manufacturing serotonin and dopamine and other stress fighting neurotransmitters to support us and help us handle and cope with stress. That's why it's so critically important for us to have a really good digestive system. You know, what are the quality of your villi? How strong is your digestive fire? These are really important factors. Well, how do you know? Well, if you don't digest wheat very well, that takes a good strong acid in your stomach to break down the gluten. If you don't digest dairy very well, that takes a good strong acid in your stomach to break down the casein in milk. Other hard to digest foods like nuts and corn and soy, all very hard to digest, require a good digestive stomach. If you have bloat around your belly, extra weight around your belly, this is an indication that the lymph system, it's called gut-associated lymph, and I've written many articles about this, gets swollen. And that's a great indication that your villi in your intestinal tract are compromised. And if you have loose bowel movements or constipation or mucus in your stool, you're probably not absorbing your nutrition. I promise you, vitamin B12 is one of the hardest ones to absorb and digest, so you're probably deficient in that. So make sure you get optimal B12 levels. Now, when you combine B12 with folic acid and B6 in a sublingual form, which means that you take it under your tongue and it absorbs directly into your bloodstream through the sublingual channels, we bypass the digestive system, which may be a little problematic. So while we're fixing your digestion, we support the deficiency by sucking on these very small B12 products. We have one called Vitamin B12 Boost, and it boosts energy and mood and cardiovascular protection. Make sure your brain doesn't shrink, and you take 3 of these a day to protect yourself or to treat a deficiency, or 1 a day to protect yourself against a deficiency, and you get direct sublingual absorption of the B12 into your bloodstream to support brain function, mood stability, clarity, memory, cardiovascular support, and mood stability. So please check out the article associated with this video on my website at livespa.com. I've written many articles and many videos on how to strengthen your digestive system and turn your digestive fire back on, heal your villi so you can absorb your B12 again as well. And I've written a more extensive article on B12 deficiency, so please check out the archives of my newsletters, my health reports on my website at livespa.com. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. John Douillard.